Your agency is officially the first UK equestrian modelling agency, wasn't it?
I'm Charliee Seymour and I'm the founding director of CS Equine Models.
Has a brand ever gone to you and said, listen, we'd really like Delilah's horse to come, but not Delilah? Like, is that ever happened?
I had
before?
it to me. You know, I'm seeing the equestrian world in a completely different light than I've grown up in, and to work one-on-one with some of the biggest brands on the market and them wanting to work with me and my models, to me is just, I just pinch myself all the time. I'm like, this is just crazy that I get to do this.
Charliee, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah, really excited to talk about our what you do in the industry. But for anybody who doesn't know who you are, can you tell us who you are and what you do in the equestrian world?
Absolutely. I'm Charliee Seymour and I'm the founding director of CS Equine Models, which is a company that's been around for about 4 years now. Some people may or may not know about it. But aside from that, I also have my own horse who I show jump. He's a horse called Pinko, which is also very well known on the internet. Beautiful grey horse. And then I also, amongst all of that, I am a freelance rider for some professionals. So I'm pretty busy riding lots of different horses, as well as obviously managing lots of beautiful people.
I was going to say you wear many hats by the sound of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I saw when I was doing my research on you with Pinko. I thought that's a great name. That's a fantastic name. What's his full name, or did you name him?
Pinko.
His
No,
full
I
name's
didn't
just
name
Pinko.
him.
It's a great name. I love it. I was looking at it, I was like, is that right? Because that'd be a really, really cool name.
Yeah, he's actually named after a designer brand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's like shops that call Pinko.
This is how up to date I am in the fashion world, because I had no idea that was a thing. I just thought that was like quite a cool name, you know. Oh, she must like the colour pink, and Pinko is like a no. Clearly shows how much of an idiot I am when it comes down to fashion. So obviously we'll start in the beginning. How did you get into horses? Who did it to you? Like, where did it all begin?
So I have been around horses since I was 7.
Wow.
And at the time, I was living in Northamptonshire, and my mum had ponies when she was kind of like in her teens. A friend of hers was kind of from a horsey background, and my mum's family weren't really horsey, but they were more like farming kind of industry. So she had been in and around the horses, but she'd never really had her own horse or anything like that. But she did get one, and who she had sort of from her teens, but he unfortunately had to be put down. And then I don't think she got involved in horses until I was about 7, and she had decided to loan this mare from this yard. So I just went with her, and I think I sat on it once, and it stood on my foot and it broke my foot one time, and I remember that very vividly. But I kind of like met a few girls, like younger girls on the yard, and I came across a girl who had a really cool coloured pony called Dennis, and he was so naughty, and he had like a Mohican of a mane, and
Love it.
he was only 12 too, and I just loved him. I thought he was the coolest thing ever. But I didn't really know how to ride. And anyways, I kind of heard that he was going to be put up for sale, and I just really, really wanted him. So I think I begged my mum like every night, please buy Dennis, please, like I will literally do anything. And it was quite mean actually, because I remember coming back from a friend's party, getting dropped back to the yard, because that's where my mum was. And I turned up to the yard and they were like, oh, Dennis has been sold. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh.
Like, I was like, he's not even mine, but like, I was heartbroken. And they were like, oh no, he's been sold to you. And it was just like the best day ever. I mean, he was the naughtiest pony ever. Like, he wouldn't stand still when you tied him up to the fence. He would jump out the stable, over the door. He used to buck me off every time he went into canter. He'd bolt across an open field. But I loved him. And people always say to me, I don't know how you didn't get put off horses from that first moment, but I used to fall off and cry, but I didn't cry because I was hurt. I was crying because I'd frustrated that I'd fallen off and I didn't want to fall off.
Mhm.
So he installed a hell of a lot of like grit and determination into me. And then since then, I've had horses and I've never been afraid to have a naughty horse or a difficult horse because I don't know any different.
Oh, that's great. That's that. I mean, that's both really mean about what happened with. Oh, he's been sold, unfortunately. Oh my God!
I
Oh no!
know.
Oh. Oh, that's both mean and brilliant at the same time. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. I had a similar one with my auntie said to me for it was my birthday, coming up to it. She goes, "I'm going to buy you a packet of crisps for your birthday." I was like, "No, you're not. No, you're not." You know, I was only 6 or 7, and she did, and I was so upset because I just opened it up. It's like, "Oh, cheese and onion packet of crisps." I mean, I ate them. I was still happy, but
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, with the ponies, especially from a young age, I find, I've got a daughter who's 9 now, and I always find the kids that are around the horses, and particularly have I'd say not difficult, whatever, naughty if you want to say that as well. That's also fine. Pony, it does instill you this resilience and this grit and this I know confidence, I suppose, because once you do get it right, it's like, yeah, I did that. It's fantastic, and
Absolutely.
I don't think you get that at very many places.
No, and I think, I never used to fear falling off because I would ask him for canter and he'd butt me off. And until I learned to just ride him and stay with him, he stopped. He wasn't trying to butt me off because, he didn't like me. He just did it. So when we then had him for a long period of time, any new person that got on him and they went into canter, he would try and butt them off. And if you sat the first one, he didn't bother again. He was like, okay, cool. You're more than competent, but I had to become competent to earn his respect.
Definitely, and like clearly, like you had a massive smile on your face, and when you were talking about him, like he must have just really put a good platform in for you to go up the ranks, as it were, especially with your riding. But when you have a horse like
Absolutely.
that, I think they're the best ones, because then anything after that is probably going to be a lot easier, in that sense.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we had him, so he was 7 as well when I was 7. So
Oh,
he
I
was
see.
still really young, but I didn't know any different. I just thought he was just this little pony. But we actually had him all the way up until I was 16, and my little brother
Oh.
rode him, and we tried to hang on to him for as long as we possibly could.
They are great when they're part of the family, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's very difficult to let them go when it's sort of time, but it's like, yeah, you're in between that place, aren't you? Whether you keep them and they're just staying stable in the field, or they go and either do a job or whatever else it is. So it's best, whatever's best for the horse at the end of the day is the best thing.
Yeah, he definitely had more than enough life left in him. He went on to go and do, like, endurance, and he was 60.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow,
he just didn't
that's
have an off
amazing.
button.
No, but they're great. But you can see some of them really, really, really enjoy it, and it's always so nice when you get like that partnership as well, where the horse is really, really wanting to do it, and the rider is just fearless like yourself. Like, I'm not bothered if I fall off. I just want to do it.
Yeah,
It is great. It is great. You don't get that in many places, especially for kids.
no.
Um, so after that, what did you do? Obviously, we've got a long journey to go on here, but what was in between that, I suppose, that period, the horse period, and then you starting the agency? Like, what did you do in between then?
So, I've always had horses, like, through and competed in, like, pony club, and I've done eventing, I've done dressage, I've done show jumping, so, I've very much been involved in the riding side of things, and I went and worked on a lot of yards as a groom, and went to lots of shows with people and things like that, but I've always wanted to be a really good rider, and I've always wanted to, try and be the best that I can, um, but I never kind of thought I'd ever be, like, a professional rider just because I don't have the kind of backing that you kind of need to make it to the top. So I just tried to be the best that I could. But I've always had passions in like other things. So like for me, I've always wanted to make money to have horses. I always, like my mum, she always gave everything that she possibly could for us to have the horses, but I always saw how much of a struggle it was to do that. And I've always kind of said to myself, I don't want to have horses and feel like I'm struggling. I want to be able to have money to pay and enjoy the horses and then do what I want to do with them. So I was always kind of thinking of different ways of things that I can kind of make money, do money, like whatever, to try and, be able to get to where I want to. So I came across obviously having a passion for like modeling and things like that, but with growing up with horses and riding from a young age, I had a very strong kind of physique. So I never really kind of got accepted into that. Plus, at the time, being 5'7", even though I'm classed as quite tall, at that time it was more like the 5'9", where you kind of needed to be at the right height realistically.
Wow.
So it's quite
Okay.
tall. Whereas nowadays, it is a lot easier to do modeling because they don't necessarily mind, obviously, like runways and things like that, you've got to be tall, but in like commercial modeling, things like that, it's not so kind of tight. So I came across different things like that, but like obviously dreams got crushed quite quickly. And I, at the time, kind of social media was coming a bit more popular, so I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to make content with my horses. I'm going to do modeling and just combine the two and, just do my own thing and see what happens. And it was around COVID. So it's like 6 years ago now. And it kind of just happened quite organically. So like I just came across a few brands and they wanted me to model their stuff. And
Wow.
it's just one of those things where I just did it because that's what I wanted to do. And then opportunity kind of came. And then I was producing young horses at the time and I sold one. And I always said to myself, when I sell him, I want to start my own business. Because I've always wanted to have my own business. Like, yeah, I've always
Really?
wanted to have my own thing. I think because my mum is very much like, she's always had her own business. She's run her own business. And to me, that's always been something that is kind of normal. But like, if you want to be, have that freedom, you want to do your own thing, like you kind of do need to have your own business. So it's always been installed in me to kind of just drive to have my own business. And I always wanted it to be in equestrian because, that's the industry I've been in since I was 7. So, I know everything about it. It just kind of made sense. So it was kind of after when I'd done a few of those modeling jobs, people were commenting, being like, "Oh, how did you get into equestrian modeling? Like, I'd love to do that." And I just was like, "Oh, I don't know." Like, it just kind of happens. And social media was growing, but it wasn't like it is now. Like, it's quite hard now because there's so many people that do it.
Yeah,
So
tell me
like
about
for me, it
it.
kind of happened at the right time. And when I had the money, it was kind of like throwing ideas around of like, what could I do? And it just kind of made sense for me to build something that, 16-year-old me, 17-year-old me would have wanted. I'm an equestrian. I've got the knowledge for the equestrianism. I've done some modeling. I kind of taught myself. So I was like, I can teach these people as long as they're confident and want to do it. Like, I can teach them. So like, they don't have to have modeling experience, but they have to have the equestrian skill set and they have to want to do it. So setting up an equestrian niche agency to me just was kind of like a no-brainer.
Yeah. Well, this you've combined. That's innovation, isn't it? A combination of two ideas. Going back to as well with your mum having her own business and you obviously wanting your own business. Not many people are like that. They don't want the pressures and everything like that. And you talked about your freedom, and yes, to an extent you do have your freedom, but there's a hell of a lot of other crap that comes with it. Like, I'll just come out with it. There's
Yeah.
a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, and you're the one who's got to fix every single problem. I mean, if your mum, like my mum as well, had her own businesses growing up, you would have seen that pressure and that stress with her. well, I assume the same way I did. So did you never really think that, you know, what didn't put you off, I suppose? What was it that you were like, no, I really, really want my own business, as opposed, but looking at the stress and going, no, I'll take that on, because not many people do that.
I think because I didn't know any different, I just thought that was normal.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
So, like,
regular.
my mum at one point had 3 salons. So she's a hairdresser, and she had
Wow.
3 salons, but 2 were in Northamptonshire and 1 was in Buckinghamshire. And I guess I always just thought, if my mum can do it, then I can do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think because of growing up with horses, you know, things like discipline is been installed into you, because that horse is your responsibility to show up to it every day. Whether you feel crap or not, you have to show up and ride the horse, look after the horse and do it. So from 7, you know, my mum's always been quite tough on me. You know, she's been like, she hasn't just gone, here's a pony and take it or leave it. It's, no, if you want this pony, you have to look after it, you have to work hard, and you have to turn up. Like, I'm not paying all this money for you to be half-hearted in it. So
Love it.
I've always been, you know, installed into, that's my responsibility, and I will show up every day to look after it and do it. So I think that installed the hard work, the grit, the determination to just, like, you know, get on with it. And also having difficult horses. I've always been the sort of person that,
Poor
like,
them.
I always want to yeah. I always want to, you know, improve something or make it better, or like work towards a goal with it. So I think, to me, a business, I just kind of looked at it in that way, where it was like, well, I'm starting from the start. Like, I'm literally building that business. And if I can show up the way that I have always shown up, then there's no reason why it wouldn't work.
Mhm. No, fantastic. I think it's the culture. You like your family culture, I suppose, and you know,
Yeah.
your brother, and if you've got any other siblings or anything, you know, it'll be, you know, they'll have the same culture as well, because that's what they're brought up with, like you said. And you know, I think it's, you know, very great that you've got your own business. I wish more people would do it and understand the pressures and the roles of it, because I think a lot of, I mean, again, no, you know, nothing against anybody at all, but it's a different ball game. It's a different ball game. It's different level of stress and pressure. But you seem to do very well with it, as we'll find out. So, but you know, you said you posted on social media. What was the first sort of channel that you posted on? Was it Facebook or?
No, I think it was Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because TikTok, like, just came out of nowhere, didn't it? It was
Yeah.
like, I kept seeing ads for it on Facebook. It's like, I'm not going on that. It's some sort of foreign nonsense. And then loads of videos coming. I was like, okay, I'll have a go. And now, just like every hour before I go to bed, just doom scrolling.
Yeah.
Like, it's really bad. So, and did you have any particular video that sticks out in your head that you remember doing? Oh, that did really, really well.
Oh gosh. I think I just followed trends. Like, you know, it was like the
Yeah.
TikTok dances that were like in. So I think I kind of just like incorporated some of that with my horses, or just any kind of trends. I just incorporated it with the horses. But
Yeah.
I was just quite random with it. Like, I just tried a few different things. One that did go viral that stood out to me was like one of my equestrian outfits with like the equestrian boots, and I think a Fairfax and Favour pair of boots as well. Those kind of went a bit viral for me. So you kind of then like go down that route, and then that kind of dies off, and then you do some other stuff. I've just always been one of these people where I just kind of post whatever I want to post, and if it does well, great. If it
Yeah.
doesn't, I really don't care.
Yeah. You're not bothered. Just doing it for a bit of fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. You know, it's entertaining, and you know, opportunities come from it. So, you know,
Oh,
it's
clearly.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, so when did you, do you remember the light bulb moment that you sort of went, okay, you know, the regular modeling isn't going to work for me. I'm going to go into the equestrian. Was there like a moment that you remember that where you made that switch where this is what I'm going to do?
Yeah, I think it was when I'd been to an agency in London, which was like a fittings agency. So it wasn't like for my face particularly, it was more for like my body shape. and they took me
Mm.
on. And I had like one casting, but they tried to send me to. I got sent to Ted Baker, which was pretty cool.
Oh,
But
yeah.
they labeled me as like a size 10, and I was like, I'm not size 10. But because I wasn't on like the smaller side of size 8, they were like, oh, we'll
Mm.
put you as a 10 because you're more likely to get booked. So I went, and like nothing fit me.
Oh, it was too big,
Yeah, it was all
obviously.
too big and it didn't fit
Oh,
me. So it was kind of a bit like, I kind of felt like an idiot because I was like, I've gone to this casting at Ted Baker, which was so cool. Like, I
yeah,
was so
massive.
nervous. I got the train to London, I think it was London Victoria, all by myself, at the ripe old age of like 17, I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I'd never traveled on the train by myself, especially into London, and it was so cool. Like, I walked in and I was like, "Oh my god, like, I'm at Ted Baker, like, this is so cool." But they were trying all the clothes and they were like, "Oh, you're not a size 10." And I was like, "No, like, I'm not."
Mm,
So, I think after
mm,
that, I was just like, this agency has labeled me in a size that I'm not. I'm never gonna get work because I'm clearly not right for the size that I am. I'm in between
mm,
sizes. Um,
mm,
and I just thought, "Do you know what? I'm not even gonna try and entertain that." I went to a couple of others. I think I went to, like, Next, and,
mhm,
like, a few other places, but again, none of the stuff really fit me how it was supposed to fit me because of my body shape, and after that, I just thought, "Do you know what? Like, the equestrian world is my place," and it was around, like, the COVID time where I was like, "Actually, I'm just gonna start creating content and just see what happens." So yeah, it was kind of, I think there
mm,
was a gap between thinking this isn't gonna work to actually then moving into the equestrian industry. But I'd got a new horse in between, so I was focused on him, mostly. And then,
mhm.
yeah, I think with COVID where, we weren't really going out and doing anything, I was just like, "Oh, I'll just start posting." Everyone's posting on TikTok, so I'll just post on TikTok.
Yeah. Is that so? The equestrian side of it, with working with the equestrian brands, did that come from the social media first?
Yeah.
S- Yeah. So did they contact you and then say, "Listen, will you come and do some shoots for us?"
Yeah, and, like, a few photographers had seen me or, like, met me, and they were like, "Oh, we've recommended you to this person because we think you'd be a good model for them." I hadn't really done any modeling. I was just quite confident in front of the
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah. Well, that's the main thing, isn't it? When you're around it,
Yeah.
you've got to be like, you've got to be comfortable
Yeah.
with it. So was it after? So I'm just trying to sort of get the timeline right. So you started posting on social media, and then the brands contacted you saying, "Listen, do you want to come and do some shoots for us?" The equestrian brands, and then after that, you went, "Okay, there's a gap here where I can get a few models in equestrian models to facilitate the brand's needs."
Yeah, I think it was probably the following year I launched the agency.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
When was that moment then? When was that like, right, this is definitely a niche here? Was it after, like, I know you've worked with Woofwear, um,
Yeah, we worked
who
with Woofwear within the agency. So the brands that
yeah,
I worked with before I started the agency were Hunterwood Shavings,
yeah,
Bloomfield's Horse Boxes
yes.
with their clothing, and another brand who isn't on the market anymore, but she actually went on to become a website designer, and she's now my website
Oh,
designer.
oh, fantastic. What was the brand? Was it one that is
It was, Cersei Equestrian, so it's beautiful, beautiful clothing,
oh, wow, okay.
but it was just, like, it cost her too much money to do, and she then went into website, but we made the connection from that first initial shoot, so it was kind of
Right.
like, a bit of a blessing in disguise in a way because we've literally worked together from that very moment.
Oh, definitely. Well, you never know where your connections come from. I've met so many people. I mean, there's people that I've not spoke to for years, and then got in contact with them, but for whatever reason. But because we made that initial contact and we got on, and we made. It's always good to have more connections than not. Basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely.
But your agency is officially the first UK equestrian modeling agency, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, you started it what was day one? What did you do? What was your plan of action, as it were?
So I think the idea kind of come about in like the October before, and it took probably 3 or 4 months of just working out logistics. Obviously, I had to speak to like solicitors and things to have like contracts prepped for the models, and then like client contracts,
Wow.
and then deciding like what it's going to be called, and then working with Colette to build a website, because I'm so particular with how things are done that like I didn't want to start it half-heartedly. I was like, I'm going to do this properly. And I'd had some advice from some other people, but like advice that probably would have destroyed the company to begin with. So it kind of was one of those, I had to be quite particular with the sort of people who I trusted in the guidance, which
Mm.
for me was quite hard, because you want to lean on other people to help you, but at the same time there was just a few things that had happened, and I was like, I just can't trust certain people or certain things with this, because
Mm.
it's almost like you're about to give birth to a child and you're like very protective over it, and like you don't
Mm.
want someone else to cause, I don't care if I destroyed the company, that's on me, but if I trusted someone else and they destroyed it, that to me is like, I
Mhm.
can't have that. So from the get-go, I was like, right, I'm going to do everything properly. There's going to be contracts, there's going to be websites, there's going to be everything in place from the get-go. And once I had the idea, I was like, I want it to happen right away. Like, I'm quite impatient in that, like, when I've got an idea, that needs to be happening now.
Yeah.
So we literally went
Mhm.
live on the 14th of February in 2022. So Valentine's Day is officially like CS's
Oh,
birthday every year.
yeah.
Um, but I think it was about 4 to 5 months of from the initial idea to then making it happen and launching, ready to go.
Amazing. With the advice, I mean, I always go to my mum. Is probably the only person that, and my dad. They're probably the only people that I really listen to, because what I always find is, and you can tell me yes or no with this, is that very many people will give you advice on how to do things even though they've never done it.
Yeah.
And I assume when you were talking about then, the advice from certain people is advice that they've never done it. So my mum's always advice was, go and speak to people who have done it if you can.
Yeah, well, I didn't have anyone that had done it, but I
Mm.
was like, I'm going to speak to people that know about like the contracts and things that will be properly done. And like,
Mhm.
then all the other advice, that I collect or choose to collect, I can then decide what I want to do with it based off of advice from the professionals.
Mhm. And also, like, no, you're right. And these things all cost money as well. I assume, you said you sold the horse, so it was your own finances that went into it. So, and it's not infinite. There's a budget that you've got to keep to, and you've got to put, I suppose, the money where the biggest priorities are, like you said, the contracts and website. Whereas maybe other people were telling you, I don't know, business cards are the important thing to get. I don't know, like.
Yeah, well, it was more like contracts, but not done through a solicitor.
Oh, okay. Right,
So
yeah,
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 I was like, it cost me I had money from the horse, but
mhm,
I tried to have like a set budget to work within. But,
mhm,
from the very beginning, it was always my own finances going into it. I didn't have help from elsewhere. It was, this is the money that I have to use, and I need to use it in the most like productive way.
mhm,
And I don't care if it does cost me a little bit more, but it has to be right from the
mhm.
start.
And I'm sure you, and like me as well, I'm sure you failed at it sometimes, but, education's expensive, isn't it, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, you only learn when you do make mistakes, and I've made loads of them, but I try not to allow it to, you know, destroy. So some people get quite disheartened if they do make a mistake, whereas for me, I'm always like, well, that's taught me to never make that mistake ever
Yeah,
again, and like it's taught me to do this, or it sharpens you up
definitely.
to lots of different things that you don't really think about.
And do you have Dennis to thank for that? you know.
Yeah,
It's probably, you know, this is it. It does all go hand in hand. I really, really do believe that. You know,
absolutely.
if you got disheartened, like something like that, you're right. Some people are like, oh, sorry, what's the point? I'm just gonna give up.
Yeah, whereas he butt me off every day, but I cried and I just got back on and went
Yeah,
again. And I'm always one like, I'll fall off the horse. I'm not, everyone falls off, but it's getting back on. You've just got to get back on.
yeah. And with some, this is it. And the same with work as well. Same with business. You have a cry. I have a cry. You know, sometimes if it gets too much, I'll have a cry, and then I'm ready to go again. It's all good.
Exactly.
Um, what in those early days? What were the things? What were the things that you tried that didn't quite work out?
So before I even started my business, I did a lot of I dabbled in the whole network marketing industry.
Oh, wow,
So
okay.
like the what do they call them? They call them like pyramid schemes.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, go on. Tell us a bit about that, because again,
So
that's a side that I never really got into too much.
So when I was working, I'd started working on a yard as an apprentice from the age of 15. So I left school at 15, but because I was the youngest in the year, my birthday wasn't until
Mm.
the end of August, so I technically left at 15, and I didn't have to go to sixth form or college at that time. I just had to go into even an apprenticeship or something. So I got an apprenticeship on a yard, where I was earning a whopping £2.80 something an hour.
Ooh,
Yeah.
bringing it in.
Yeah. So I was making about £20 a day. But I didn't care. I was like, I'm working with
I was just gonna
horses.
say,
Yeah. So
yeah.
I did that for a couple of years, but in and around that, I kind of just came across these different things, and I was so intrigued because I was like, how can I make a residual income? Like, this is really cool. And I was always a bit skeptical, but I was also like, I'm never going to throw loads of money at it that I can't afford to do. And I thought, I'm just going to try it because, you don't know until you try. And I mean, I tried the product ones, I tried the travel ones, I tried the supplement ones. Like, I did probably like 4 or 5. And,
Really?
I learned so much about just so many different things that I wouldn't have learned about on a yard. And yeah, I mean, I failed at all of them. I made some money on some of them. Like, one of them I did quite well. I bought myself my own pair of riding boots with the money that I made. So it wasn't like a
Mm,
complete failure, but there are people that stick at it and do it for years and years. But I kind of copped on quite
mm.
quickly that it wasn't for me, but I can appreciate people that do it. And I was like, I've learned what I need to learn, but I've realized it's not for me. So I've technically failed like 5 businesses before I even started this one business. So some people probably look at me and think, oh, she's just started one business and she's just done really well in 4 years. But actually, from the age of 16 to 20, I did 4 different businesses and just failed at all of them.
Yeah, this is, and nobody wants to know about those. And I mean, I do, right? But what I'm more trying to get at is that everybody always wants to know what you've got. Nobody wants to know how you got it. You
Exactly.
know, it's those failures and that sort of thing that really build you up, and just on the failures as well. I've messed up a hell of a lot, and when I've always told my mum or something, it's always like, well, why did you do it that way? It's like, why didn't you tell
I
me?
don't know. I ask myself that question every day.
I just thought it'd make sense. No, well, you shouldn't have done it that way. Um, I mean, we'll go back into this is what I mean. We veer off all the time, and we just go back into it. So obviously you work with a lot of equestrian models now. What is the main difference between the equestrian models and I suppose regular models, if we're going to label them, non-equestrian models, I suppose is the better wording.
I mean, I would definitely say that equestrian models are just built differently mentally. They have all grown up with horses or been around horses, and they have that skill set, so naturally just having the skill set sets them apart. But I think for the difference between us and a mainstream agency where more commercial models or runway models or whatever, um we don't focus on what our models look like physically, or they don't have to be a certain size or shape or whichever. It's kind of a mixture of different things. So I guess there's not as much pressure on equestrian models as there is probably as on like mainstream models.
Do you mean like in a way that they have to, they can just do what they want and then turn up as equestrians rather as, and have that extra ice cream sundae on the weekend if they want it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, because that's the lifestyle, isn't it? That's what you want to. You're not going to get a size 6 or size whatever 0, whatever it is, modeling equestrian joppers, because it may not look correct on or how it might not look as lifelike as regular equestrians, because equestrians are athletes. They're going to have an athletic build. My wife, I love her very, very much, and she's beautiful, but she's not a size 0, size 6, stick thin model.
Yeah.
She's got muscle. She's got I'm gonna get in trouble for this because I don't know how to. Can you tell I'm struggling of how to say it? Because I know she's gonna watch it and then she's gonna be like, "What are you saying about me?"
It's more like they're strong and they have shape and they're
Yes.
built for resilience, because anything to do with horses, you've got to have a bit of muscle and a bit of about you. But I think, to be honest, like, we've got some models who are very, very slim, but it's not because we've asked them to be that slim. Like, that's just how they are naturally. And I think every person is different. So there are some people that can naturally be a size 6 their whole life, and they can still ride horses and they can still be fit and strong and healthy. But there are some people that are naturally a bit bigger. Whereas, like, for me, I am naturally a lot more like leaner on top than I am on the bottom. But it doesn't mean that I'm not worthy of being a model because of that. It's just my body shape and my genetics. And I think with the equestrian world, we do have smaller models, but we also do have slightly more curvier models. But it's just based on everyone's genetics different, and not one person can look the exact same. And I think in the mainstream industry, the pressure is everyone kind of does have to be very similar, in the sense of, like, you have to be these measurements. Whereas with ours, ideally, if you're a size 8 or 10, you would show up as an 8 and a 10, because that's what you've been booked at. But, like, it's not going to make a difference if you enjoy a couple of meals or have a dessert the night before, because that's just how you are, sort of thing.
You've explained that far better than I did. I was really, because I know I was going to get in trouble for that, but it is what it is.
Digging yourself a hole.
I was gonna. That's what I'm very good at, digging a hole, especially when, like, I think, oh, I'll say this, oh, I can't say that. I'll say this, oh, I can't say that either. Not that I can't say it, it's like, I don't want to offend people. That's I suppose why I dig a hole. Like, I keep thinking, oh, this will offend someone if I say it this way.
Yeah, you're always bound to offend someone.
Yeah, I don't intend to. It's never my intention. But sometimes, I suppose the words come out before my brain processes it. But would you say, from being in sort of both the industries, the non-equestrian model industry and the equestrian model industry, would you say that the models in the equestrian industry are, I wouldn't say happier, but more relaxed? Is that a correct analogy for it?
Yeah, maybe. I guess the pressure is not the same. So, for them, it's probably just something that they do extra. It's like it's a bonus to them, because they all have their own jobs, they all do their normal thing, and they're all equestrians. But sometimes they'll come to a photo shoot, or they'll be on a campaign, or they're doing content creation, or they're at an event. It's not like that's not their whole life. Modeling's not what they do every single day. They have other things that they do. This is like a bonus to them.
Extras on the side.
Yeah.
So how much can like one of your models earn on average? Like, if you don't mind me asking, like, what's the sort of pay for a model now these days?
I mean, it varies. I always vary model rates depending on their level of experience as a model. So obviously, we do take on models that are less experienced, but we also do have some very, very experienced models. And also, you take into consideration equestrian skill set, what's asked of them on a campaign. So if they're riding and modeling, or if they're just modeling. So it varies. But I mean, at the absolute minimum, we wouldn't charge any less than $250 for a model. So it'd be that plus for a day. And then like if horses are involved, we also charge for the horses. We don't expect models to bring their horses for free because, you know, that's a horse's day, time, and, you know, washing the horses, plaiting the horses, getting the horses ready, plus their self. You know, a lot of brands don't have hair and makeup artists for the models. So the models have to do their own hair, their own makeup. So I always charge for the horses. You know, they'll get their travel expenses covered as well. And then if they do have a horse coming to a shoot with them, I'll always make sure that the brand covers for a helper to come with them as well.
Oh, amazing. So when you know, again, I might be completely wrong on this. So how I've got it in my head, it's like, you know, a brand has got a catalogue and they're flicking through. And is it like you have the riders and their horse as like a pairing? Do you have it like that, or is it?
So some models don't have their own horses. So they're equestrians, but they might have not necessarily, they don't own their own horses right now. Or some of them have, you know, they compete a lot to a high level, so they have their own horse. So it kind of varies. So like, and some horses of some of the models just wouldn't be suitable for a shoot because it takes, you know, a certain type of horse's temperament to be part of a campaign shoot. You know, if they're quite stressy or quite unsettled, you know, that horse is never going to work. So it is a pairing, but like the woofwear shoot that we just did recently, one of the models, Polly, her horse unfortunately picked up an injury like 2 weeks before the shoot. So she didn't have another horse of her own to kind of lean back onto. So I, through contacts that I have, managed to source her a horse to ride that was almost like the perfect replica of what she already had.
Really?
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
That's cool.
For the shoot. So, you know, with as well, my background in the equestrian industry, the contacts that I have, the people that I know personally, I can also then help source additional horses. So, but the other thing with that is not every model rider is as competent, say, as Polly, who could just go and ride someone else's horse that they've never ridden before and jump it on a campaign shoot. So there's lots of different factors and things to take into consideration. But for me, if I know what the brand is looking for, then I will know exactly which model and which kind of combination is going to be the best option or options for them to kind of choose between. And then they decide who they think would be best.
Oh wow, you must have, yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot to keep in your head. You know, I had a little thought then in my head. Has a brand ever gone to you and said, "Listen, we'd really like Delilah's horse to come, but not Delilah"? Like, is that ever is that ever happened?
I had
before?
it to me.
Did you? Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I had it to me last autumn, winter. So Woofwear were like, we would love to have Pinko. But we want him to be with the other model, Sophie. And I was like, absolutely. Like, I mean, to me, I don't find it offensive at all. I'm like a
No.
proud mum, like just taking my horse with me. I'm like, well, I'm going to be there anyway, so I may as well take a horse.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have had that situation.
The only reason why I thought that, like, the only reason why I asked that is there ever any, like, I suppose that's not a difficult conversation to have, but is there ever been like any difficult conversations that you've had to have with like the models before? Because that's probably quite a bit of a side that I have just thought about now that can be probably quite upsetting to some people.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of difficult conversations with some models, more so like with, say, if there's like been a big job that we've put a lot of models forward for, maybe multiple times, but the same, like they haven't been picked. And I mean, most models will go, okay, that's fine, like no worries. But then some kind of want to know why they haven't been picked. And for me, you know, I don't always get feedback on every model that's put forward as to why they weren't picked. And like there's certain situations where I would never get any feedback. And you know, I have to then kind of explain to them that it's not anything personal to them. It's just, you know, you're not what they were looking for at that time. And I think that's the hardest part about modeling is, you know, it's not that you're not pretty enough or you're not good enough. It's just at that moment in time, you are not what that person is looking for look wise. And, you know, it is hard to not take it personally. But some people, you know, just brush it off and they're like, okay, cool, no worries. But some, I think if they really wanted to be picked for it, it's a bitter pill to swallow. And I fully understand it. But it's just one of those, like, again, you have to have thick skin to just go, okay, that's fine. Like, not take it personally and move on.
Yeah, you're just being judged all the time, basically, isn't it? It's like same as dressage, isn't it? You know, someone said to me, you have to be crazy to be into dressage because you're just constantly being judged. You're riding absolutely everything, and it's the same with the modelling, I suppose. You know, if you don't get the job, is there ever a request, I suppose, that's ever stuck in your head, like a shoot that's ever stuck in your head and thought, oh, that's really cool, or that's a bit weird, or yeah, this one I've never done before.
The one that sticks out the most is when we went to Abu Dhabi for an event.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So for the last 2 years, we have had models. So the first year, it was myself and two of my other models that went out to Abu Dhabi for it's like a prestigious union parade event that they have every year in December,
Oh, wow.
and they wanted to include the Arabian beauty horses. Um,
Oh, what are they? Are they what it says on the tin?
What, the Arabian beauty
The
horses?
Arabian
Yeah,
beauty
so
horses.
they're never ridden, it's all in hand, and I don't know if you've seen them, like,
Oh,
they're always showed, so, like, they run around and, like, you know, show all their movement, and then they do, like, the big stand where they're, like, stretching out and they're, like, touch the person's hand, and it's a very, like, completely different kind of style, but it's fascinating, and, like, the horses are just they don't look like real horses, like, they're so, like, beautiful and pristine and perfect, and
wow.
so we were asked to go out there to almost, like, present them on stage, but we had to,
Okay.
like, learn how to make them pose and make them stand, and, you know, you're on a stage in front of 6,000 people, and um, it's like, you know, you've got the royal family just there, and
Just relaxing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did that back in 2024, and I was on stage with two of my other models, and that was just, like, the most surreal thing
Wow.
ever, you know, I don't think I'll ever forget about that trip, you know, we were there for 10 days,
Gee.
and it was incredible, and then last year, the same event happened, and then two of my models got selected for it, so I didn't go with them, but two of them went out there and did the same thing, but with more people, so I think for me, that is just such a prestigious event
Mm,
that, you know, and that's the situation, like, all my models wanna be picked for that,
definitely.
like, everyone wants to be picked for that, and, you know, it's just the most incredible thing, like, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and, you know, that is, like, a highlight, but as well, you know, just working with these brands that I've grown up with wearing or using, you know, to me, all of it is just a massive highlight because, you know, I'm seeing the equestrian world in a completely different light than I've grown up in, and to work one-on-one with some of the biggest brands on the market and them wanting to work with me and my models, to me is just I just pinch myself all the time. I'm like, "This is just crazy, like, that I get to do this."
Yeah. It is incredible. Was there ever like in the first stages of like a brand that not a brand that you recognise, that's probably not the right word, but one that it was always like, oh my god, can you believe they've contacted me? Like in the beginning, was did you ever have that moment? Like, what was the first one?
Yeah, so the first one was, Nailers, who
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
they were launching a new brand, and, I think, like, JD had just bought into Nailers or whichever, and,
yeah.
it was, like, Go Outdoors Nailers, and, they were launching a new, company, and I was contacted by an agency seeking a
Oh wow.
particular model, and that was in the first year that we had launched, and I just remember being like, "This is insane." Like, my model, it was in the Horse and Hound, you know, on, like, a massive
Oh,
ad campaign for this new brand in my first year, and to think that I came to mind or they came across the agency and contacted me, to work with one of my
Mhm.
models was just crazy.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling, isn't it? Because you think, "Oh, I'm doing something right now."
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
that's really lovely. I mean, I don't know, how many models have you got on your books?
Currently on the website, I have 51,
Wow. Jeez
but I
Louise.
have still got about, I would say 7 at least to announce, but females. So I've got
Oh.
7 more new girls coming to the website to announce them. So yeah, it's a lot of people.
Oh, no, it's a lot. So it's male and female?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So, okay, well, let's go through the process. I call you up and say, "Charlie, hi, Aaron here. I wanna be a model." What does that happen, or is it a more specific process?
So on our website, we have an application form for, it says like become model. So everyone has to submit an application to be reviewed, to be like, to see if we feel that they would work on our books, or if they would fit with what we're kind of looking for, what we feel brands are looking for. So everyone has to submit an application which will come directly to us. Then we'll review it, and then there's like a second stage of a little bit more information on your equestrian background, your modeling experience if you have any, and like some more additional imagery. So then that gets reviewed, and then if we feel that that's like quite a competent like situation, we're like, actually, do you know what, we want to explore this person even further, I will always have a video call with every single one of my models before I officially sign them. So I
Mhm,
will
mhm.
have a video call, a Zoom call with them, ask them a couple of questions, just get to know them, and then explain how the agency works, and then answer any questions that they have. And obviously, I take notes and stuff of whatever we're talking about, and then I will then re-review that again, and then I'll decide if I take them on or not.
Wow. So could we count this as like the final stage then?
Yeah, this is like the second, third stage.
So no, I'm joking, obviously. But well, unless you need me, but that's fine. So is
Always looking for new males.
well, I don't.
They're
I
hard
think
to
I,
find.
I think you'd probably. I think brands, if they ever put me on the front of their thing, especially for modeling clothes, I don't think they're going to sell very many. I'm quite. But is it kids as well? Is it only adults?
No, so it's only 18 and overs.
Right, right. How come you don't do any with children or anything?
Because of things like, just like legal reasons with like insurances and like just complications,
More
it's
difficult,
it's just a lot more difficult. Don't get me wrong, like I am emailed constantly for
really.
teens, younger children. I think the youngest I got asked about was a 4-year-old.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
So, there's always like scope for that. But in the whole 4 years of running the agency, I've only ever had a brand speak to me once about like a younger rider. But even then, I think it would be a younger rider that I know of, or I know their family, or whichever. Just because, you know, it just makes things a little bit more difficult,
Mhm,
and to be honest, sometimes even 18 is a bit too young.
mhm, mhm.
But I'm very strict on the fact that it's 18 and overs only. It doesn't matter if they're older than, like, I've got, 37-year-olds on my books. Like, there's no cap on the age limit, but like it's just no younger than 18.
Yeah. So on the application side, do you get like quite a few every week, or is it
Pretty much.
more? Do they contact you? Do they contact you through only the website, or is it like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook?
So we get messages on Instagram and TikTok and everything else, but I
Wow.
won't kind of entertain. I've said to people before, please redirect, but because we get so many, like I just don't have time to be
Yeah.
constantly redirecting people to the website. And so yeah, if I can, I'll redirect them, but they come through the website and then it'll come into emails through the application process, or the application
Wow.
form that we have. And I mean,
Yeah.
we have them on daily basis is,
Really? Wow.
yeah.
God, that must be a lot. So is it only yourself who works in the business, or have you got other members as well working with you?
So at the moment, it is mostly me. Yeah.
Wow. So you've got to go through all those applications. Oh my goodness. That's a job in itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
is
it's
that
a
a
lot.
I was gonna say, is that a sat on the couch, after you've done everything on your laptop, going through them sort of job?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to open my books at the beginning of the year for like new faces. And I mean,
Mm,
I close the books, but the system's always open for applications to come through throughout the year.
really?
So I always look at them as they're coming through.
Mm,
If it's like the books aren't open, I'll just look at them as they come through. But when it's like we've specifically opened the books and then we get an
mm.
influx and I keep them open for like 2 weeks to allow people to apply, I'll
Wow.
then go through them all and then I'll then get in touch with everyone for like the next stages. So it's a bit more of like a longer, more intense process when I open them. Whereas throughout the
Yeah.
year, I'm just looking at them as they come through. And if I see someone that I'm like, actually, they could be quite good, I'll get in touch with
Mm,
them. And I mean,
mm.
I used to reply to every single application, but now if someone isn't, the right fit, I just won't reply
Yeah, you don't
because
have the
I don't
time.
have
You don't have the
no.
time. It's important. Where do you think most of your time goes on the business, like on a daily basis or weekly basis?
So at the moment, it's been with the website, the imagery, and then just keeping on top of if we've got shoots in process, so like sorting out the agreement forms and like negotiating the rates and then organizing the models. And it varies throughout the week, but there's
Mm,
always something for me to be doing on a daily basis. But for me, the priority is always the clients' emails, getting back to them,
yeah,
making sure that, we're not leaving anyone waiting on us or whatever. And then everything else I just do around that.
yeah, yeah. I know the feeling. It's very, very, it's hard. It's only a certain amount of hours in the day. Um, I want to move on to AI now.
Yeah.
I am a massive user of AI. I implement it into as much as I possibly can because it is essentially free, uh, free hours that I get back from all the systems that I've implemented in my business. How I suppose there's two things here. How much of an impact has the I suppose AI slop that's coming out now on a conveyor belt? Is that affected how brands sort of work with you now? Do they ever say, "Oh, well, we're going to leave it for this catalog this season because we're going to try it with an AI model"?
No, so none of the brands that we've worked with have ever said we're going to use AI or we're going to prioritize AI over a real model. We have had a few clients who have got like that, we've done campaign shoots with and they've uploaded them and people have actually commented being like, this is AI.
They don't believe it. They don't believe it's true.
And they're like, well, your campaign's good when someone thinks it's AI and it's not.
Yeah.
But we've not had that. The only I've seen equestrian brands using AI, but not any that we've worked with. So
Mhm, mhm.
brands that we've kind of come across or they've wanted to work with a few of our kind of content creators and wanting like content, but then you kind of get into the conversation with them and actually they don't want to pay for the content creators like content or time or whatever. They just want to, gift them some product in return for
Mhm,
content.
mhm.
I've noticed that a few of those brands now, a lot of their like campaign imagery is actually an AI person.
Really?
Yeah. And people will comment on it being like stunning, beautiful, good, like as if they're actually commenting on a real person. And it's crazy. It's like, how can you not tell that that is not a real person?
It is very difficult sometimes. What you got to look out for apparently is the fingers and the eyes. That's what you've got to look out for. But it's a very scary world that we're moving into in that sort of sense, because anybody can literally generate anything. I've seen this guy on TikTok. There's a young kid. I don't know how old he is. He must be in his teens, and it's a software he uses clearly, but he's able to transform himself into anyone basically if he had enough imagery and video of them, and literally make a video of him moving, but it's like, I don't know, Ariana Grande's face.
Wow.
It is mad. But I'm cotton onto it. Like, I can tell which is AI and which isn't. But the authenticity side of it is I think is still important. Like, for example, I don't think in our industry, I think we'll be quite safe because the AI is not going to enter it, because you can't have that human connection that an AI is made with a horse.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So in your sort of line of work, you're not really too worried about the AI playing a big role into it.
No, I don't think so, because I think, at the end of the day, AI isn't riding these horses or competing these horses. They're real people that are working with them on a daily basis, riding them on a daily basis. AI is never gonna take over looking after a horse because it's a physical job. And I think it'd be silly for brands to then kind of replicate a model or on a campaign with a horse that's not a real person. And I think, AI definitely has its perks. It's great for so many things, but I think replacing like models or people, I don't think that's the right route, because as a model as well, I think that takes away one of your jobs, but it takes away a lot more than that. It takes away a team working together to create a campaign. It takes away, the hard graft of working towards a campaign and then like completing it and then moving on to the next one. And I think it'd be really sad if brands went, actually, do you know what? We're going to just cut all of our team's purpose to basically just process whatever and not even be involved in what the brand is built to do.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. It is sad. I mean, I suppose as well, for the people that aren't in the industry, they'll probably be sat there going, well, all you're doing is standing in front of a camera and taking photos. Like, what do you say to those people that just think, like, the same way that people think that riding a horse is just literally sitting on a horse and the horse is doing all the work? Like, what do you say to those people about, like, what modeling actually is? Like, where's not the skill in it, but you say about the experience. Like, what do you say to people who think that?
Well, I think the skill, yeah, there's a skill in it, but I think as well, like, you're asking real life people to put trust into a product that's not real, technically, because it's not on a real person. It's AI. Whereas
Mm.
you see a campaign, you're watching a real person wearing that product, like performing in that product. You're seeing it on a real horse. I think AI could make it look so perfect that people would go, well, would it actually look like that in real life? So then you then lose that trust in your clientele. So I think
Mm.
modeling is, a skill set in itself, but I think, it's important to keep that real life authenticity in campaigns. It's great for certain things, but I just think brands or people would lose trust. If I see a product on someone and I think that's AI, I wouldn't even entertain buying it.
Really?
Yeah. Even if I thought that looks so nice, I'll go, that looks almost too perfect. That can't be real. I won't
Really?
buy it.
So if it's
Yeah.
I mean, you know what else is really funny when you say that it looks too real. So now, especially with all the emails and that sort of thing that AI can write, people are clocking onto it like it's too perfect. Like, we need a bit of human error in there. So, like, have you ever worked? Do you think your industry will sort of go, well, we'll leave this mistake in there just to show that it's real? Do you know? I'm joking aside. I do
Yeah.
that with emails. I make sure that I misspell words sometimes. I don't recorrect it on the autocorrect, so people know that it's actually me doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my excuse. I mean, probably I'm just dyslexic and I can't spell anyway. But do you know what I mean? Like, even in like the subject headers and emails now, it's like they're all too precise and perfect, and the ones that aren't are the ones that sort of stand out now a little bit more. Do you think that's what will happen with the industry? Do you think they'll leave mistakes in on purpose?
I mean, if they have to prove it, then I guess, yeah. I mean, if you've kind of gotta moving forward, gotta constantly prove that you're not AI, then I think, it's gonna be something that we have to do. But
Yeah.
I think, people that know horses or work with horses or whatever would be able to tell, like, that's real, or I know that person, so I know they've written that, or do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I think with today's world, we can always second guess certain things as well. Like, I'll look at something and think, was that written by them? But it could be written by them, but it's enhanced with AI, which is fine. But like, I think
Mm.
not allowing AI to like take away everything from us as humans.
Yeah, it's going to be a very very interesting world. I think it'll either be really really good or really really bad. I think it's going to be one or the other. Like I don't think you're going to particularly get an in between. But I think our industry, the equestrian industry, you know, is going to be one that is. I think it's going to. What I think is that if, for example, AI does take over all these jobs and put loads of people out of work, I think it'll be like COVID again, where everybody gets like a UBI, universal basic income, and you can go and just do what you want to do and enjoy your life. But I think the equestrian world will grow bigger because that's what happened in COVID. Like the horse prices went through the roof. Everybody thought, "Oh, I've got time to go and ride a horse and get one and muck out and do all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff." So I think it's in our industry we're going to be safe. So I think you've
Oh,
got into the right sort of
definitely.
sector personally. But
Yeah.
who knows?
Thank God.
What do I know? Just to plonker on the end of a microphone, but that's fine. So obviously you're a rider yourself. Before we move on to your like how I want to know how you sort of juggle the horses with the business and that sort of thing because it's important. Is there anything else that we've missed out on the modeling side of the process, the pros, the cons, the models themselves? Have we missed anything out on there? Do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think, you know, our models obviously it's very niche, like the equestrian industry is
Yeah.
very niche, but having run the agency for 4 years and accumulated models over that time, I've always tried to take on new people every single year, but I've also let a lot of models go. And I think it's kind of just the models are equestrians, but I've realized that, there is so much more to them and how versatile a lot of them are. And
Mhm.
for me, I've got to a point with the agency where, like, I want to give everyone more opportunity and I want to showcase how versatile these equestrian models are and not limit them just to working with equestrian brands. So, I want to see my models working with horses, but on like, a Hermes campaign, or do you know what I mean? Like something
Mhm.
so big like that, because I just think the skill set that we have as equestrians um, is just something that a lot of people you can't buy. It comes with time and dedication to the industry. So I think, it's just actually taking into how much effort it takes to be an equestrian, but also an equestrian model and a model on top of that.
Yeah, two hats essentially. Well, multiple hats.
Multiple
It's
hats for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I was speaking to someone the other day. It's like the horse riding is so expensive. It's like, but look what it gives you.
Yeah.
It gives you your personality building blocks. It gives you your social. It gives you your community. It gives you your exercise. It gives you your mental health. There's loads of it that actually you're probably devaluing, I suppose, in that sort of sense. But obviously, because you own the business, you run the business yourself. Extremely stressful. Totally understand it. How do your horses, play a part in keeping you sort of level-headed, when the days do get bad?
Oh, yeah, a huge part. And I think that's why I still freelance ride for other people as well, because like I love riding horses and I love riding a variety of horses. And I have one of my own, and he is, I've had him for 7 years. And I mean, he's a big horse. and he's like my dream horse. He's like my overgrown pet dog that can jump really big fences. He's super cool, but I'm always wanting to still keep my riding ability sharp. So, I don't want to just get used to riding one horse, but to be able to go to him first thing in the morning, ride him, then come and do my work, for me, it's just, it's almost like an itch you have to scratch first thing, and when it's done, it's done. And then, you have something to drag you away from the work. And I think it's so important to have things that you can focus on and do around work, because it's so easy to just be absorbed by your super long to-do list. And, in today's world, burnout is massive. And, as humans, I think we take on way too much than what we should do, because, in today's world, everything goes at 100 miles an hour. And, to be the best, you've got to keep working. So I think having the horses involved in my life is so good at pulling me away, because I will just keep going and keep going. But when I know that it gets to a certain time and I'm like, right, I have to go to the horses now, it's like so important for that. But also like freelance riding for other people, I'm riding 5-6 horses back to back. I haven't got time to look at my phone. And it's so nice to have a couple of days where for the whole morning, I'm not even engaged in any sort of phone contact, or unless it's like an emergency, or like I know I'm expecting an email or a whatever, and I can reply from a horse. Like it's pretty easy. But it's just, for me, like, it's what I love to do. So I'm a through and through equestrian, Yes, I have this modeling agency.
Yeah.
Yes, I do modeling myself. But for me, it's about the horses and the passion with the riding of them, the training of them on a daily basis, or helping produce a young horse, like getting it going, or just improving my skill set as a rider, because, there's always something to learn. And I think with the horses,
Definitely.
for me, I just love that you're always learning something every single day.
It's sort of, they sort of force you to take your break, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so important, especially when everybody's stressed, don't get me wrong, and it's all relative. Your stress is equal to, Bob's stress down the road. It's not about that. But the horses, I always find it makes you go. And even though you don't realize it, your brain does need that break. Because obviously, if you don't give it the break, it will break. It will break in two. Like that's happened to me. It's I found. I don't ride just because of the weight of me. Like I can't find the one large enough that will fit in the stables just here yet. But we've got like a couple of foals that may get to the stage in a couple of years. So maybe I'll get on one then. When I used to ride, I loved it. A big Shire horse called Daisy in Manchester I used to ride, and she was great. I loved it. And I remember we went into a river, River Mersey, and it was just like nothing else mattered. And I always carry that moment with me, because that's what you guys feel when you are riding or you're mucking out. It's just that nothing else matters, just this.
It's like the simplest things in life are so important. And like, people always say to me like, oh, you're going to the horses today, and it's like chucking it down with rain, and it's just like, it doesn't matter what the weather is. Like every day I have to do it, and I want to do it, and you don't change it for the world. And I think when you've grown up with horses, or once you become a horse person, I don't think you ever unbecome a horse person, because they are such great, incredible animals. Like, yes, some of them are more hard work than others, but like they teach you so much about them, about you, about life. Like, it's fascinating.
Great. Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dennis.
Good on Dennis.
It just popped into my head then, like at the moment you just said about the weather, the winter and that sort of thing, and like chilblains.
Yeah.
Any sort of like injury that horse riders get if they fall off, break a nose or an arm or whatever. Have you ever had like a model booked for a shoot and then something's happened with the horse and like, I can't go now because I've got a hoof print on my head?
Well, I haven't, touch wood, had that yet, but
Oh,
I've had
touch
it
wood,
with
yeah.
horses like go lame, so like Polly's situation with
Yeah,
the woof wear shoe, like literally 2 weeks
yeah.
before, um, her horse went lame. So it's like, oh, we've got a model, but we haven't got a horse. Um, but like we've had models on shoots where like the horse has just whacked them in the face, and like
Ooh,
they've then got like a red cheek, or they've got a bit of a bump on their head or whatever, because just handling and
yeah.
working with the horses, just things happen. Or like when you're handling horses, it jumps on your foot or treads on your foot, and then you've got a bit of a lame model. Or it's things like that. And like at the moment, I've got one of my models who actually has got a fractured hand because she walked past a horse and
Oh,
it kicked her in the hand. So as well as having like being a core equestrian, it is also harder because, you know, us models, you have to look after yourself. You have got to be mindful that if you are booked for something, it's not like, oh, we're just coming to work with this horse. It's no, they're working with horses on a daily basis, or they're seeing horses. So,
mhm,
but
mhm.
touchwood so far has been
Not
okay.
happened.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, it's gonna happen now because I've just said it, so
I'm
I'm so
touching not
sorry
all
if
the
you
wood.
know. I'm so, so sorry. I know we've talked about AI, and we talked before we came onto the podcast about where you wanna take the agency. So how do you see your industry changing over the coming years, and where do you want the agency to go to or evolve over that period?
I mean, I think like everything, every industry is constantly changing so quickly every single year. I mean, when I launched the agency 4 years ago, the equestrian industry wasn't where it is at now. So I think I would like to see that the industry catches up with kind of like mainstream in the sense of like the marketing and things like that. They are, but like when I first launched, an agency in the equestrian world was like, oh my God, like that's terrifying. We're not doing that. Whereas now it's
Mhm.
like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. That's so easy. Like we come to you. So I would hope that, it continues in that kind of like catch up momentum. But I think, it is going to become harder. I think with the world that we live in, it's going to be harder for people to stay equestrians, have horses, compete, and do all those things purely because of the cost of everything. It's expensive to do. So
Mhm.
hope that it does maintain and people don't drop off, because even things like in pony club now, not as many people do pony club as they did when I was younger. And that's where I learned so much, and I made friends for life in pony
Yeah.
club. So it would be sad if that dropped off. But with where I want the agency to go, I mean, this year I wanted to take everything to the next level. So even things like the model portfolios, we've shot them all in studio
Mm.
settings in non-equestrian clothing to showcase like the
Oh,
versatility that they have, as well as obviously showing them in equestrian settings, showing that they can ride and handle the horses. But with that, because I'm wanting to create more opportunity for them, I've kind of changed the angle of the agency as more of like going into more like equestrian casting and talent. So yes, we are a modeling agency, but we aren't limited to just modeling campaigns or content or whatever.
mm.
Anything that's related to equestrianism or horses, I want to be the go-to person that people come to. So if they're like, we need a rider for this, I've got a male rider, I've got a girl rider. Or we want a model for this, but we want her to wear high-end fashion clothing, but we want her to sit on a horse or handle a horse, that kind of thing. So
Mm. Mhm.
I'm working on expanding opportunity for my models, as well as increasing the quality of my models. I've just taken on 12 new girls, and some of them are been modeling for like as their
Wow.
full-time job. So the quality of the models that we
Mm.
have now are just increasing every single year. um so yeah, it's exciting, and I try to push the agency and my models sort of every year to become better, or push people out their comfort zones and push myself out my comfort zone, to try and just get to where I want to get to.
Yeah, no, it sounds really. So are you talking like, I'm not talking like movies and stuff like that, but you're talking like TV and that sort of thing, films? Is that sort of where you'd want to get to eventually? Like have not, I suppose, actresses, actors, you know?
Well, at the moment, I've just taken on 2 stunt female riders. So they
Oh
do
wow,
modeling, but they're also like experienced stunt riders. So whilst I don't deal with the stunt, like they're like continuous stunt work because we're not a stunt agency, but
yeah,
having people that have that skill set and that background to 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 offer that as a job, or to have someone that could do something a little bit different to just cantering a horse or whatever.
yeah.
You know, for me, like we've done the Range Rover advert with where they wanted to include a horse cantering in it. So
Oh
we
wow.
have one of our models, Andrea, cantering the horse in the newest Range Rover advert with Theo James. Uh,
Is that the one with the blue Range Rover? Is
yeah,
that one? Is that
yeah.
one? Is it? Oh, I love that. That's really cool.
Yeah, so that's like a global advert now, you know, and I
Yeah.
see it in cinemas, I see it on the TV, I see it on socials,
Wow.
and, you know, to do things like that, that's where I want to, you know, expand into. So, you know, big global campaign adverts, TV, film, if, you know, they need just someone to ride, you know, just anything like
Amazing.
that, I think, and just big campaigns with, you know, big, big designer brands. Like, I'm just, you know, I can envision all my models doing that. And just because we're an equestrian niche agency doesn't mean that we're
Yeah.
limited to equestrian companies. You know, we fulfill the equestrian company's needs because of the basis of the agency, but we aren't limited to that. And I want to prove that and be that kind of go-to person
Love it.
for all of it.
Love it. That's really. Do you know? Do you provide any sort of say, is it training? Could you say training? You know, do you provide any training to models in any particular area?
So when I first launched the agency, obviously I took on everyone that applied, or I took on a load of models that didn't have any equestrian experience. So on our like portfolio shoot days, I would guide all the models in the posing and what to do, what not to do. So I essentially trained a whole bunch of my models
Wow.
and kind of gave them the pointers that they needed. And then they kind of used that on other shoots or whatever. And then whenever I'm on a shoot day or whatever, I'll always give them guidance on certain things. And like we've done just recently a studio shoot, and none of them had ever shot in a studio before. So they had all full on guidance in that. And, you know, so they get all that support with the agency as well. Like, yes, we take on models who are experienced, which is great because I can be like, right, they know what they're doing. But
Hmm.
those that aren't experienced, you know, as long as you're willing to take guidance and lead and things like that, you know, we put on these portfolio shoot days to not only improve everyone's portfolio for the website and things like that, but also just to give them a little bit of training, a bit of guidance, a bit of everything, to refresh everybody so that, you know, when they do go and do other things, they're like, right, I know what I'm doing,
Wow.
and they're all good to go.
Wow. That's awesome. And it sounds like you do so much, and are continuing to expand as well, which is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Um. Well, I mean, all the questions, I've run out of them. However, I do have like a quick fire round questions. So this is
Oh,
like
they're fantastic.
research that I've done on yourself and your industry, that would be useful for people to answer. We may have answered some of them already, but it's just sort of like a recap sort of thing.
Okay.
But also maybe I've missed out some things that we might have, wanted to talk about. So, if you're happy to, we can
Yeah.
do them. You know, it's you can either tell me to shut up, or you can answer them, or whichever it is.
No,
Um,
all good.
so the first one is, what's the biggest myth about equestrian modelling that you'd love to bust?
Oh, equestrian, the biggest myth.
The biggest myth. What's the biggest myth about equestrian modelling that you'd love to bust?
I think that everyone can do it. You know, people think that everyone can model, and yes, if you're an equestrian, you know, you could model, but I think it's harder than people think.
Perfect. This is it. This is why I've never got into it. Um, I think we've asked this as well, but when someone says, I want to model for a horse brand, what's the first thing you tell them and what should they focus on?
Firstly, it depends on the age of the person because, if they're too young, then, I'll just kind of give them a few pointers and things like that. But I think if people want to model with equestrian brands, I think, if you're not of age to be part of an agency or whatever, I think just do as much as you can with content, social media, just put yourself out there and just train yourself. Repetition is key. No one knows how to do it straight away, but if you're willing to work and, put effort into it, then, you'll always get better. And then, you'd never know where that leads to.
Definitely. Well, that leads on to actually the next one is, how important is social media following versus genuine riding skills when brands choose models?
To be honest, social media following isn't a massive thing. It depends
No.
if they want like a reach, but to be honest, with campaign work, it is about the skill set of the model or the rider. It isn't linked to their social media. So I don't put pressure on my models that they have to have a huge following. I encourage activity on social media because it helps with brands knowing where they're at or what they've been up to. Your social media is almost like a digital portfolio. And if it looks like you haven't ridden for 5 years, then they may not be as inclined. But if they see that you're regularly competing or you're doing this and you're doing that, the numbers don't really matter. They're looking at you, your horse, your skill set as a rider combination.
This is not on the question. This has just popped into my head then. Like, I don't know, I follow multiple people online. And do you know what really, really annoys me? When they try and sell me something. I don't know what it is. It's like I flick off it straight away. Like, I don't. Do you have that as well? Do you think that's why brands should be using models rather than a social, an influencer in that sort? Do you know
Yeah,
what I
I
mean?
know what
Like,
you mean. Like
what
when
do
it
you think?
comes across as like it's blatantly obvious that someone's trying to sell you
Yeah.
something, that's where we don't really dabble in like the influencer market because for that kind of reason, we
Mm,
work in content, but we do like more the UGC, which is user generated content. So it's content created based on the product, not based on the person that is doing it. So it's authentic content that's promoting a product, but in a real kind of natural, authentic way, so that when a user comes across the content, they absorb it because they don't feel like it's heavily ad or this is a famous person or a well-known
mm,
influencer that's like, I'm using this. And it's like, well,
mm,
it's quite clear that that's a converted ad into trying to make sales rather
yeah,
than you're paying someone for user generated content to create content based on a product to showcase it in,
yeah,
just a normal life or whatever, and people absorb it and
yeah,
naturally warm to buying potentially that product.
yeah. I think, I suppose if it's like a standalone ad, like I saw one with Hugh Jackman in it a few days ago. I was like, oh, okay, Hugh Jackman's in this ad. Whereas opposed if it was on Hugh Jackman's TikTok, profile, whatever it is, I'd be like, you shouldn't be doing that. but that's just me. That's just me. I think I'm
Yeah.
a bit weird because clearly all these influencers, they do a fantastic job and that sort of thing, and clearly it works. But yeah, I just wanted to know if you saw, with brands, they would prefer models as opposed to getting on an influencer's feed in that sort of sense.
Yeah, I think for sure investing in a good campaign definitely lands well because people remember it
Yeah.
more because it's like, well, they know that the brand's worked hard at creating that, but it's not like um it comes across in such a better way because it's like quality, they're like, Christ, the work that's gone into that,
Yeah.
that's a full campaign with like models and riders, whereas if it's just all influencer marketing, it can just kind of take away that kind of quality and premium kind of
Mhm.
like appreciation for the product,
Mhm.
and then people overlook the product, whereas campaigns, it's like it's just about the product.
Mhm. No, I think it's one of them. I suppose it's a preference thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
They both have their place in the world,
absolutely.
which is fine. But it's just me. I'm just being a miserable bugger. So, um, Oh, here's a good one. So, what's the biggest mistake you see people make when trying to pitch themselves to equestrian brands or agencies?
The biggest mistake is not following instruction. So on my application, for I can only speak for myself, but for myself on application, I make it very clear what we want to see on an application. And people will not read that and they'll just submit any picture of them. Like it'll be
Right.
like a cropped picture from their Instagram, or it will be like an old picture from them 2-3 years ago, and it clearly states that it's an up-to-date headshot against a clear wall, wearing like dark fitted clothing in your most natural state, and that's what we want to
Mhm.
see. And
Mhm.
instantly, as soon as I see anything that's not abiding by that, I won't even entertain it, because I think, first of all, you can't follow instructions, therefore you're not going to be easy to work with.
Brilliant. No, you're right. You're right. You're right. I have the same thing. Um, for horses themselves, how much does a horse's behavior or training level affect a photo shoot or brand campaign?
Massively.
Yeah, massively.
So, yeah, you don't wanna be having a horse that gets quite stressy and quite antsy, quickly, because it is a long day, or we always make sure that the horses are never ridden for too long and they're not doing too much, and they have, like, a stable to go into for the day, but it is a completely different environment, and, they're surrounded by a lot more people, they're asked to do certain things that they'll cope with, but, sometimes some just are like, "Right, I'm not tolerating that for any longer."
Yeah.
So it is so important that the horses are quite a chill, relaxed kind of, personality, because we don't want them to get stressed and upset. Like, that's not the goal, and we want them to enjoy the day. They get as the best treatment that they can possibly get for the day,
Yeah.
but we don't want them to, go home stressed or, upset or whatever. So for me, it is so important. Like, people will say, "Oh, my horse is so pretty," but like wouldn't stand still for a picture. So it's like it's just not going to work.
No.
So it is hard, because not every horse is like that, and the really talented horses that brands want in their campaigns, some of them are really difficult to handle or manage on the
Mm.
ground.
Yeah.
So it makes it harder. But it is something that we do have to take into consideration massively, because of just safety reasons, for
Mhm.
everyone plus the horse.
Just on that as well, it just popped into my head then is like, do you have to do like a lot of welfare checks for them as well? Like, for example, they can only be there for X amount of time and they have to have X, Y, Z, otherwise we're not doing the shoot. Like you said, a stable, for
Yeah,
example.
absolutely. So yeah, they won't be ridden for longer than a period of time. And if it's, say, a hot day, and they're doing like too many jumping or whatever, it will get, I will step in
Jeez.
and be like, they've done enough or whatever. It's little things, because like before the shoot, I'll always make sure that the horses are fit enough, because you don't want to set the horse up for failure anyway, and it's not fair
No,
on them. So there's so much that goes into having a horse ready for a shoot. So like their
definitely.
fitness, and are they used to jumping that much? Are they used to, waiting around? But like, making sure that they're not stood on the lorry the whole day. They've got a stable to go to, they have some downtime. They have some time when they
Mm.
arrive to just chill out, get used to the environment, things like that, which, people don't understand, that it's not just as easy just rocking up with a horse. Here you go, take some pictures
No.
and leave, because, you've got
Mhm.
to structure the day to get
Mhm.
everything that the client needs, but also try and accommodate
Mhm.
for the horses to make sure that they're happy, and they're not being overused or worked.
Yeah. No, this is it, and yourself being an equestrian, it's probably another job that you have to do as well when you are doing that, and it's not as simple as, like you said, just turning up and taking
No.
a photo. So there's a hell of a lot of work, actually. But do you like do you not dread? That's the wrong word to use. But do you think when it's like a horse and a rider, you think, oh, this would have been so much easier if it was just a rider?
No, I haven't had that yet, no. No, because I
No,
think
no,
because
no, no. But you're not. But either way, you're
yeah, I
happy.
think because I've always because I know my models and I know their horses and I know the client, and I always try and fit it as good as I possibly can to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Um, you know, yeah, there's only ever been one time where it kind of one horse wasn't really the most suitable, but that was something out of my control. But it still worked. It just meant that, we had to kind of pivot. But it's one of those where it's not as straightforward as people think. Yeah.
Part of the job. Yeah, part of the job, and I just
Yeah.
thought I'd ask, that's all, because sometimes I get that as well sometimes, like, oh, it'd be so much easier if you just would have ordered one thing instead of like a huge, I don't know, rug and boots and lick and stuff like that. Anyway, that's just me moaning yet again, so I might have to cut that bit out now. I'm joking. Oh, has your view of what makes a good model changed since you've started the agency?
Yes, I think I've definitely learned over the years that it sounds really bad, but people can be very good at taking photos, but they could be very, very pretty in person, but not the best at taking pictures. And I think I've learned to see past certain things and see potential in people than they may not have seen in themselves, or just a variety of things. But like, it's like everything, people say, oh, she's pretty, but then you put the camera in the face and they don't know how to be in front of a camera. And I think camera presence is like so important, because if you know how to be in front of a camera and like you're confident in yourself, it can literally make a huge difference. Whereas you could have the prettiest person in the world, but if they don't know how to be in front of a camera or have camera presence, it doesn't quite land the same.
Definitely. Well, I hope my audition's going very well at the moment.
It's going super.
So I'm mentioning that far too often, aren't I? I should really calm down on that.
I'll take the hint.
What's one thing you wish every equestrian understood about working with brands before they sign the contract?
I think, well, I've always made it clear to everyone that joins the agency that there is never a guarantee with work. So, with working with any of our clients, I think to the models, it's a bonus to them. But I think like a lot of the models maybe underestimate a shoot day and how much work goes into a shoot day, how long they are, expectations of you, things that you need to keep on top of throughout the day, like even little things like makeup and hair. If you haven't brushed your hair throughout the whole day, but you've shot 5 different outfits, it's little things like that. So I think, it's underestimating that, what's involved in a day to, make sure that, you're still showing up exactly how they want you to look. But yeah, I think as well, like just as a whole in the agency, like people don't understand that, like, it is hard to get booked by brands. And like when you are booked, it's like, it's great, but the workload is not the same. So, it's just anticipating that, there's no guarantee to work even when you're part of an agency. It's just you're closer to opportunity than someone else.
Yeah. Well, brilliant. Fantastic. When you're building content for a campaign, what's your philosophy on balancing authenticity versus polished visuals?
I think it depends on the client and what they're wanting to achieve. So we've had certain clients that, they want it to look super polished and they want the product to look as best as it possibly can. And then I've had other clients where they're like, we want it to kind of look quite, authentic in sense of like, it just looks like we've just filmed someone on a yard doing their own thing, that kind of thing. So I think it's all client based. It is related to what the client outcome what they want as their outcome. So I just always prepare the models for what the client has told me that they want to achieve. So all my models are always, briefed before the shoot day on expectations and what they're wanting to achieve. So if I know they want them to be super polished, it's just reminding them to make sure that their boots are literally clean and sparkling and freshly polished, making sure, that their hats are clean if they're wearing a hat, or if they're like, we're not too worried about it being like a brand new pair of boots or whatever. Just reiterating like those small details, because, the models don't know unless I tell them. And I think that's where the difference is working and being an agency is, these clients know that I am there to basically make sure that everything happens how they want to happen, and my models are briefed and prepped before they go to that shoot.
Love it. Love it. I love these answers. They're fantastic. If someone says they want to be an equestrian model but don't have a big following yet, what's a realistic first step you'd recommend?
Realistic first step, I would say just create content, have a photo shoot, do a photo shoot, get yourself in front of the camera. Having a following isn't the be all or end all. It's about finding your style in content creation. So if you want to be a full blown model, then I would advise shooting and gaining as much portfolio as you possibly can. If you want to be a content creator, then create content on the products that you already use and post them. It just depends on what you want to do, but I think people fixate on following like a number of following these days, and that really doesn't matter, because influencer marketing and user generated content marketing is so different. I've got one of my models who, she doesn't have the biggest following in the world, but content creation is her full-time job. She does that on a daily basis, and she works with so many brands, not outside the equestrian industry, but she doesn't have 10,000 followers. I don't have 10,000 followers. I've worked and been paid by brands to create content and do UGC. It's just about you, what you do, your style, and whether a brand likes your vibe. So I think it's finding your vibe and your style and just running with it.
Amazing. Well, that was all. That was all the questions.
Oh, thanks.
But you've answered them all phenomenally. Yeah, really, really informative. Really loved it. And so, I mean, before we sort of sign off, I know we've talked about your mum, and obviously running the business is an incredibly hard thing to do, and you need that good support there. Is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to, mention in particular? You've got a smile on your face. I know someone's coming.
I think it's a combination of people. My mum helps a lot with the horses and the support. If she knows I'm having a bit of a tough time, she'll be like, "I'll do the horses this morning. You have a slower start." My stepdad, he supports her with helping on the yard, because it's not just my horse on the yard. We have 2 others, plus my mum has 4 sheep. So it's a whole
needs a friend.
And then my partner, Ash, he listens to me rant on a daily basis. He also does a lot of the photography for my model portfolios. He always supports everything that I kind of do. Whether I'm sure I probably drive him insane, but and also just my friends. I'm very, very lucky that I'm surrounded by people who understand kind of how hard it is, and just they get it. So I think it's just having people around you. I'm just very grateful to meeting people as well and working with people that just understand. And I feel like you don't feel like you're a crazy person when you're working with like-minded people, where they're like, "No, I totally get that." It's people that don't understand it, that if you're surrounded by people that don't understand it, I think it makes you feel worse, because you're like, "God, I feel like I'm really hard work." But it's like, actually, no, they understand it because they know what it's like to juggle so many things. And I think for me, I'm just very lucky that I am surrounded by a great team of people who, help me in so many different ways, because, I like to do a lot of things by myself. I'm very much I don't need help sort of person. I like to take it on. But actually you need it, because there is only so far you can go without help.
Definitely. Well, it sounds like you've got a fantastic support group, and clearly you're very knowledgeable and very supporting yourself, which is lovely. And I hope the episode is given a glimpse into how hard you work and how much time and effort you go into making these shoots, these campaigns, a success. And I've certainly learned a lot, so thank you so much for that. And if you do see my application come through, I'll make sure that the headshots are correct.
Yeah, perfect.
But no, thank you so much for coming on. all the best for the future. Good luck with everything. I'm sure it's not going to be the last time we speak with each other. Maybe we can have you on for a part 2 when, in a few years when, you've got all AI systems in place dealing with all your applications and everything. I'm joking. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Really, really appreciate it. And
No, thank you very much for having me. I've loved it. I've really enjoyed chatting, and I love the questions, and it's nice to kind of share, a bit of the story, because, there's a lot that's gone into the last 4 years, and yeah, it's kind of crazy really. I mean, people probably do think I'm mad, but I do love it.
no, you can tell you love it because you've been smiling the whole time when you've been talking about it. So clearly it's something very close to your heart that you're
Yeah.
very passionate about, which is what you need to be
Yes.
successful with it. So congratulations, good luck for the future, and thank you very much.
Thank you.